Hi, I'm Morgan.
And I'm Jake, and this is
Neverland Navigation Radio.
where we explore journeys from Epcot's past again.
Again, part two.
Yeah. In part one, Morgan recapped all the different versions, iterations of Spaceship Earth.
Talked a little bit about the history. It's fun.
It was very interesting. I told her last time I saw her that since that episode, I've had a loop of what the top of Spaceship Earth used to be like in my brain.
Yeah.
With the astronauts and the woman in the control tower.
Mm-hmm.
You guys Google pictures of what used to be on top of
grand and
Spaceship
miraculous.
It's grand and miraculous. And listen to the last podcast episode. Because Morgan does a great job going over all the different versions and the interesting things, little things that make a big difference that change between versions. It was very interesting. And then today, we're continuing in Epcot, and we're going to tell a different kind of story for my version.
Yeah, now it's Jake's turn. So I guessed Living with the Land, and you said I've got to wait to find out.
Yes, I did. And
so
here we are.
I have been anxiously waiting.
As have our listeners. You're not in this alone. You're all hanging on the edge of the seat. It's not Living with the Land.
Okay.
It's something far more dramatic than you would even think.
Okay.
I'm doing
Figment?
Ooh, that would be dramatic.
That would be dramatic. So much controversy.
We need to do Epcot again.
Yeah, we can. We can just keep going.
Let's keep going. Let's trudge through all of Epcot. But for today, we're going to talk about the history of Cranium Command.
Oh!
Which was a show in the Wonders of Life Pavilion. And we kind of get into the whole Wonders of Life Pavilion a little bit through its history.
Awesome.
And then we take an insane turn down true crime.
I know. I know.
I could not talk about this without talking about the insane twist.
Oh man,
that happens in this story.
I wonder if there's more than I know. I only know little blurbs of the true crime story.
Have you ever heard this, like, the most insane story from Disney history?
I've only heard, like, that it happened. I'm not gonna, like, elaborate because I don't want to give away your.
Thank you.
Yeah, but
appreciate it.
But I don't think that I know the. You know what I mean? I bet there's more than I know.
Perfect. I'm so excited. That's exactly how I was until I spent the entire last, week learning about this. Because there's a lot of the stuff that we do, sometimes is kind of obscure. Yeah. So there's not a lot of reliable information.
Right.
When I was researching this, Morgan, it was the exact opposite. Everyone is talking about it. There's so much
documented information.
There's so much.
Was there a lot of jaw-dropping during your research?
Yes.
Fantastic.
Let me tell you, yes. Because there were things, even though I, first of all, was on Twitter when this all unfolded the first time and remember how crazy every moment of it was. But I didn't know how it ended or what even ended up happening. So I definitely was like, oh my God, I can't believe there's an answer to the things that I was wondering back then. So now we get to all find out together.
I can't wait.
Okay. Okay.
True crime.
We have to go down.
Disney true crime.
The timeline of this is crazy. I'm going to start here though. In August of 2018, when there are
starting with true crime?
Well, we're gonna cover everything, but I want to start here because this is what I think most people
are going to be interested in
when they heard about this for the first time.
Yeah,
was this moment. So in August of 2018, there were a bunch of tweets that were coming out claiming that one of Disney's animatronics had been stolen, which you see something on Twitter.
I wonder if people without social media or who aren't big in social media even knew about this, because it's not like it was covered by national news, but it was all over Disney social media. I'm going to have to ask my mom.
Yes.
Because she's
true barometer.
Yeah. Yeah. She doesn't really do social media, so we'll see if she knew, and I'll be interested.
I would be super interested to know. Who knows what. But just, okay, so Those tweets are August, and then 4 months later in December, a man is brought into the Orange County Sheriff's Office for questioning regarding the stolen animatronic. So they bring this guy in, and they interview him, and he gets wrestled to the ground by police by the end of his interview. And
you said a cast member, right? Former or cast member?
A man.
Oh, you said a man.
Is all we've done so far.
Okay.
Yeah. But
I could have just assumed it was a cast member because you'd have to have... I'm gonna just let you. I'm gonna stop speculating. You know how it's true crime, you feel like you've got to like guess.
Yeah, that is kind of the fun.
Yeah.
There is a lot to guess here as well. Okay, so they bring in this guy for questioning about the animatronic, and the interview obviously doesn't go well. He gets wrestled to the ground, and they were looking for an animatronic named Buzzy, and he was the star, little animatronic, of a kind of rarely remembered show from EPCOT's history called Cranium Command. And he is stolen. And that's wild. And we're going to get into how and why. But more importantly, I guess we should start with what is Cranium Command.
Okay.
And all of that.
Sure.
So in EPCOT, it was all of the pavilions had a sponsor and a theme.
Right.
So phase 2 of EPCOT, once the park had already opened, they decided they wanted to build the Wonders of Life Pavilion.
My favorite rotting building.
That would be a great t-shirt for the Wonders of Life Pavilion. Yeah. Just the gold dome and in a romantic font. Yeah. My favorite rotting building. I love it. Yeah, it wasn't always rotting.
No, it used to be full of life.
Yeah, Wonders of Life. Wonders.
A little drum kit thing.
Yeah, we definitely need to get you a soundboard. That's what we need. Okay, so it's the late 80s, and Michael Eisner does something good for once in his career, and he secures MetLife as the sponsor for the Wonders of Life Pavilion so that they can kind of, like, finally build it.
They were always the sponsor?
Yeah. They had wanted to build the pavilion with the opening of the park, but they didn't have a sponsor for it. So they couldn't build it. They didn't want to spend the money. So now that Michael Eisner had a sponsor, we were ready to go.
Cool.
And it opened, and it was... I
think they still sponsor something in the park.
MetLife?
I mean, I
feel like, yeah.
No, maybe not. But
it sounds familiar.
It does sound familiar, but now I'm thinking, like, that area...
Maybe Disneyland.
Here I go off on a tangent.
No more speculating about MetLife. The true stars of our show.
There's an area back in Morocco where you can go, like, cool off and stuff, but that's blue.
Health.
Yeah, okay. It's something blue. Those might be together.
Thank God this episode is sponsored by Blue Cross Blue Shield. Just kidding.
All right.
Wonders of Life. It was... Do you remember it?
Oh, yeah.
You do? I remember it vividly.
You're asking if I remember the pavilion.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. It was
the answer would be a little different if you asked me if I remember Cranium Command.
I think you're not alone in that.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people didn't go to it. But anyway, Wonders of Life, it was like whimsical.
It was fun.
It was like a carnival all about the human body.
Yeah.
And fitness.
Health and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah. It was like a midway. It was very classic early EPCOT edutainment, fun field trip kind of vibes.
Yeah. My brother and I used to like getting on the like stationary bikes that had the TV in front that made it look like you were biking in Disneyland.
Yeah.
I loved that.
Super fun. Super like hands-on concept, very like interventions.
Yeah, exactly. I have no idea what my parents were doing at the time.
Vibe.
Probably taking a nap.
Exactly. It was the kind of place where parents like could chill and let the kids.
Yeah. But our family liked Body Wars too.
Oh yeah, and the thing that most people were coming into the Wonders of Life Pavilion for was the ride Body Wars.
Not the making of me.
I was wondering if you were going to bring this up, that Disney, like, briefly touched on
Yeah.
where babies come
Why?
from in like this 5-minute educational
Who was like,
film.
you know what we're responsible for?
Later on, I'm sorry to jump ahead, but when it gets turned into like the food and wine pavilion and they're showing like cheese slideshows in there, I'm always like, I wonder if y'all know what used to happen
Yeah.
in this very theater.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I think I went in there once after the fact to get like a magnet or something.
I remember. Yeah, I remember going in there for food and wine, but I also remember it in its original form. So like, I feel like I've seen the entire life of this thing.
Yeah,
including Body Wars, which was a simulator type attraction,
like Star Tours. Yeah.
But there was nothing thrill like at EPCOT at the time, so it was like exciting for everyone to. Maelstrom.
I mean, in the same vein,
but still, oh my gosh, not the same vein.
In that it's not, neither of those are roller coasters, but they're like, you know, more exciting than a little kid ride.
But what's more thrilling, Frozen or Star Tours? Star Tours.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah.
So, like, Body Wars was a little more.
Yeah. Are you saying that they would be more so than Maelstrom? I'm just saying Maelstrom had really, really scary trolls.
I'll tell you which one will make you throw up.
Okay, but if it doesn't make you throw up, for me as a kid, Maelstrom was way scarier.
Yeah.
I could get on Body Wars, no problem. But Maelstrom, actually, when I was a real little kid, I had nightmares about it.
Maelstrom was scary with the trolls. The problem that most people had with, and also the oil rig part, that part was so scary for no reason.
That part wasn't supposed to be scary.
But it was.
Just for the record.
But it was. Okay, wind and blinding rain. I'm like, hello? I'm 5. Anyway.
Yeah.
Body Wars, a lot of people had like really strong
physical
nausea.
Yeah, okay.
because it was, first of all, they shrink you down, quote unquote, to the size of a blood cell, and then inject you into the bloodstream.
Yeah.
Already kind of gross for some people. And then you lay on top of that the fact that there was a technical problem in the film.
Sure.
Where it didn't perfectly sync up the motion to the film.
Oh, the actual technical problem.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you were saying, and then something goes wrong because, that's how rides go.
Yeah, well, yes, that would be the plot. But also, like, the actual film wasn't working correctly.
Yeah,
so people would get really sick on Body Wars. They tried to fix it by splicing it. Like, just removing some footage and removing a bunch of the programming of the movement, but it still it still made people nauseous. And the fact that it's, like, inner body themed, I think it just adds a certain layer.
I thought it was cool. I was a nerd.
As a kid who wasn't prone to motion sickness, it was one of my favorites.
Oh, good.
And also,
yeah, me too.
It's another one of those dead rides we love so much that never had a wait.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Toward the end.
Yeah, okay. I was going to say, there was a time when it had a
right.
wait. Because like you said, there wasn't that much thrill ride type stuff. So I do remember waiting in line for that.
Yeah, early on, this was a banger. People were really excited to get in and do Body Wars.
Yeah. But you're right. I'm sure at the end.
Right.
When you'll tell us.
Let's talk about it now. In 2001, MetLife pulls its sponsorship from the pavilion.
That was my question. Womp. So the whole thing went down at once. If we go down, we all go down together.
Well, first they went seasonal.
But like the shows and the ride, it's all one. Yeah. It's all or nothing.
It's all or nothing. There were no fallen soldiers ahead of time. They all died in battle together. Right. So 2004 to 2007, Wonders of Life operates what?
Seasonally.
And what does that mean?
That's the
You're on your way out, girl.
Yeah. What do they say? The nail in the
coffin. Yeah, it's very that. The kiss of death.
Yeah, we always know it never goes seasonal and then comes back full swing. No. That just doesn't happen.
No. And one of the things that is operating seasonally in that time is something called Cranium Command, which we have.
And you said 2001 to 2006 it was seasonal?
2004 to 2007.
Oh, God. I wasn't... None of those...
close by the same increments.
Sorry.
From that point on, the pavilion was used for training, hosting corporate events, and a festival center for food and wine and flower and garden. So that's kind of a sad life for it. It used to have Body Wars and something called Cranium Command, which was a show where it's basically Inside Out when you really think about it. And I want to say the director of Inside Out actually worked on this, or someone who worked on Inside Out worked on Cranium Command.
I hope so.
But they say there's like, it's such a vague connection, but whatever. It's still kind of interesting. But Cranium Command was this film where all these characters had to work together to run like a teenage boy's body for a day, and you're inside of his head, and someone,
Yikes.
yeah, and the cadet who's just joining the Cranium Command, his name is Buzzy, and he's trying to do everything he can to run the show, but everything keeps going wrong.
Of course.
And he's got to try to rally the troops and save the day. It's very cute. Very Epcot edutainment for sure. Did you ever go see it, do you think?
If I did, I don't remember it.
Yeah, it was even less popular than Body Wars. And Body Wars, toward the end, the wait times were like 5 minutes or nothing. It was like you could ride it by yourself sometimes. It was so...
Didn't they used to show like goofy fitness cartoons in part of this?
Yeah, that was the other little mini theater.
That's the theater that we occasionally would go sit down and watch goofy cartoons. But my family wasn't really big into shows. So
that's right. I
we
forgot
would go,
that about your family.
Yeah, we would go in there for the ride.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So
I think a lot of people.
I probably did see it once, but I don't really remember it.
I have like weirdly, it's one of the things that I.
Same with Making of Me, actually. I don't actually think I've seen it. I'm just aware of it. I was always aware of its existence.
For some reason, this is one of those really clear childhood memories.
Of course it is.
I can really. I can
shocking.
really, really remember it really well. And so when I'm seeing pictures of it...
Did you make good decisions because of it?
Because of, like life decisions? Well...
Yeah. Okay, we're...
Yeah, sure.
Sure.
Whatever. What's the answer you want me to say on the podcast? Alright, here we go. It's becoming it's becoming the festival center. It's so sad. Because it became super unpopular, seasonal operation. Some people just didn't even know it was open during seasonal operation because they just assumed that it was closed. Because that's what happens to things when they operate them seasonally. It's kind of sad. People forget about them.
Right.
But something that happens during its time as a festival center and a little bit afterwards is this funny little thing that happens that a lot of people have maybe seen clips or photos of, which is urban exploring.
Yeah, it's funny how when they shut down a ride, they just leave everything and walk away and like...
Yeah, sometimes. I like it when they have a plan for what they're replacing it with.
Yeah.
Obviously, with things like this, they didn't, I don't think, plan for it to be super unpopular, but as a business decision, you've got to make the choice to cut back operation costs, and now your pavilion is seasonal.
Yeah.
That sucks. But anyway, that's what happened here, and because it was so regularly used by like vendors for food and wine and by guests seasonally, it was like wide open all the time. So even when it was off limits to guests, people were like wandering in.
Okay.
Pretty often.
You could just go through the front door, or you're saying that they would go in like they were going to the festival center and then stay?
Sometimes, well, if they were going into the festival center and staying, it's so well staffed at this point at that point that it probably wasn't an issue. But this was like when you weren't supposed to be going in. Got it. The rope was up on the walkway up that said, "Do not enter," which is how I remember the Wonders of Life Pavilion now at this point, is that little rope sign that says, "This walkway is closed." They went through that, over that, and then they walked up to the sliding doors, and most of the time they're open because that's also where they store and stage all of their vendor stuff for food and wine and all that stuff. So there's always cast members coming in and out of there anyway. So,
wow.
At least there were, for reasons that we'll get into. But I remember during a certain period of time, like 2007 to onward, that I was seeing videos all the time of people sneaking in here. And some of them were like 12-year-old kids, 13-year-old kids. I was like, whoa, this is first of all, it's crazy that Disney is letting this happen.
Right.
Second of all, it's crazy that these videos are up long enough for me to be able to see this happening.
Yeah.
Wild.
Right.
But they showed like Body Wars in its abandoned state.
Right.
And they showed that all of the vehicles at the time were still in their bays, which is really interesting. They're not anymore. They got taken out and presumably torn apart for Star Tours parts, which is kind of sad, but at least they did something with them, I guess.
Sure.
And something that a lot of people would take video of is going into the abandoned Cranium Command, because the show was still in its operating form. The set was still there. Buzzy was still hanging out. He was on a hydraulic arm. So he was just hanging there, like ready for the show to start in the total darkness. So people wanted to see this all the time. This was like the popular go-to spot. So much so that eventually Disney lit Buzzy up with a spotlight in there, as if to say,
somebody's watching you?
Yeah, we know that you're here. We know that you're coming in here.
What a weird step to take. We're going to light him up with a spotlight but not put a guard on the door or a camera?
It's actually the beginning of a very puzzling, strange string of security choices. From Disney. The first is that this is happening to begin with, and this is such an ill-guarded, off-limits building. The second is this weird spotlight thing that they do on Buzzy, and the tactics just get increasingly strange as things progress, which of course they do.
Right.
So Buzzy is hanging over like a pit. He's like not safe to climb to get to, or he wasn't. And but still, people would climb up there to like take a selfie or something, and it was really dangerous. So, I think so. Then something happened that was also bad, which is somebody took pictures of him, and in the pictures he doesn't have hands, he doesn't have gloves. Somebody's taken his gloves off, so he's just got like animatronic fingers. So somebody's stolen off of Buzzy.
Right.
That's a Buzzy bummer. Don't steal off of Buzzy. That crosses the line from like what you might be able to rack up to harmless fun, I guess.
Oh, I think we passed that line.
Well, we definitely trespassed that line.
Yeah.
But now we're stealing stuff, so that's definitely not good.
Climbing him probably was the real.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah, that's dangerous.
Yeah.
And then someone comes back, and more pictures come out, and now all of his clothes are gone. Somebody's stolen all of the clothes off of Buzzy. So we're watching this like photo by photo. Yeah, it's almost like
how long between?
How long between?
It sounds like this is turning into like an online dare.
That was I think a lot of people's concern, that it was like trophy hunting and like online competition type of situation with young people. But anyway, I don't remember how long between, at least a couple months, because this is a years long situation of people coming back here and taking pictures of this attraction. And Disney was kind of just chill about it, I guess, because that seems like them. Weird. So weird that this was allowed to go on for so long. I always think that anytime I look at this information. Anyway.
I know. I feel like they know where I am every second. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's weird to think that they didn't know.
That they had a building that was so insy-outsy.
Yeah, or that they did know and they weren't doing anything about it. Because if somebody climbed him and then fell, I would imagine they would get sued, even though the person was trespassing.
Yeah.
I've just heard of stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, go on.
They didn't provide enough reasonable barriers for any. I can see the lawsuit now. Anyway, that would be Disney's biggest fear.
Yeah.
But so we're at the point where people are stealing stuff off of Buzzy. But at one point, someone else comes in, and Buzzy has been fixed up. He's been like, his hair's been fixed. They put brand new clothes on him.
Weird.
Creepy. Very strange for an attraction that had not been operating for several years at that point.
Right.
And nobody can see except illuminated by a single spotlight in the dark. Really wild stuff going on.
Yeah.
So then people noticed that there was a red tag on him, which is what Disney does when they're about to destroy a building, but they want to save stuff for the archives. So they tagged him and another animatronic that was on the set to say, don't destroy these things.
A literal red tag?
Mm-hmm. So people thought, oh, okay, they just wanted to fix him up before he goes to the archives. But the next time we would see Buzzy, we wouldn't ever again. It turns out that was it. It was wild. I'm gonna get to
specifics.
Yeah, a little specific here. So, we also have to go through this. Okay, here we go. Sorry. Okay, so remember those people who were breaking into Wonders of Life? They were posting all their stuff on the internet as well, and this became like a popular kind of post to make on the internet.
Sure.
Because of course it's super, click-worthy. Mm-hmm. But one of the most prominent of these like backstage content accounts is an account called Backdoor Disney, who people thought must have been an ex-cast member or someone who's still currently working at Disney, because they would be posting behind-the-scenes photos of like currently operating attractions and stuff. So people were super interested in his content, and he was one of the people who was doing this Wonders of Life photography situation.
Okay.
So he's important for later. That's why I bring him up now. But
he's a suspect.
Yeah, put him on the board. Put him on the board. Okay, so now Buzzy's tagged for the archives and his clothes are clean, and that's great. And then one day, Twitter goes on fire with tweets all saying that Buzzy is gone, vanished from the Cranium Command attraction. And one account says...
Why didn't people assume that Disney just took him to archives?
Because of what I'm about to say.
Oh, okay, sorry.
One account says that he was removed by slashing his hydraulics.
Oh, wow.
And removing him from his lift forcibly.
Oh, wow.
Whoa. Drama. A police report for Buzzy's clothes and hands is filed.
Oh, wow.
That's wild.
So the original ones? Or...
The original ones.
Okay.
The ones before this. Well, if Buzzy disappeared, he disappeared with his new clothes on.
Right.
So the old clothes, whereabouts unknown.
So it's like they didn't care, and now all of a sudden they're like, we want everybody that's ever been involved with this.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah. There's a police report filed for Buzzy's clothes and hands, the theft of them, but not for Buzzy himself, which causes a lot of internet speculation about why that could be the case. Then, Backdoor Disney, one of our prolific Wonders of Life posters, posts a photo of what appears to be Buzzy's head.
Oh, wow.
So it's wild now. Then someone comes back into the Wonders of Life pavilion after all of this has happened. Someone's still going into the Wonders of Life pavilion to take photographs. And they photograph the slashed hydraulic wires and hydraulic fluid everywhere like it was a crime scene. I can't. This is the most dramatic thing that's ever happened.
Blood.
Ever. like a blood. In doing research for this, I watched, there's a YouTuber named Jenny Nicholson who did a video on this, and when she got to that bit of the story, that's exactly what she said. She was like blood on the crime scene. Yeah.
That's funny.
That's truly, like, when I read it, that's how it felt. It felt Art Nouveau and scary. Anyway, so there's no Buzzy. He's dead, I guess. It's sad. The internet, like, couldn't wrap its mind around, was he stolen? Had Disney carelessly removed him for archiving?
Sure.
What happened?
Right.
It's just, without definitive statement, it's just such a crazy thing to happen. But then there was a statement to police from a Disney employee that said that Buzzy was missing from Disney Imagineering. They didn't know where he was.
Okay.
And I read the statement, and in it, at the end, he says, we're worried, or maybe someone from our archives came and took him without notifying us, but no one will answer the phone. Which is really interesting.
Archives won't answer the phone?
Archives won't answer the phone. So that makes people think that this is an inside job. 100%. That I think people read that and were like, okay, that is the most suspicious thing I've ever read. But obviously, who can know what can come of that? Okay, so there was an employee who was saying that the electrical connections and hydraulic lines were severed, leaving considerable hydraulic fluid. So he basically saying, yeah, it looks like a crime scene over there, dude. He also said in the report that the space that Buzzy was in was unsecured and open to anyone in the area.
Yeah.
A startling thing to see on a police report from a Disney employee.
Yeah.
The area was open to anyone.
Right.
At all. Okay, great. I don't understand how there wasn't more press about that.
I know.
Because that's a police report. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, so remember Backdoor Disney?
Yeah, yeah. It's not like you can walk out with... How much did he weigh? Do we know?
Buzzy? He's a big honking boy.
Yeah.
Animatronics are heavy.
Right.
They're heavy and complicated and awful to carry. I would think they look heavy.
Yeah.
Also looks awkward to carry.
Sure.
Must be tough. Anyway, we'll get into the theories.
Okay.
But in 2018, that Backdoor Disney guy, the person behind that account, his name was Patrick Spikes. He was brought into the Orange County Sheriff's Office for questioning regarding a stolen animatronic. So, 4 months prior, Buzzy was stolen from Cranium Command, and authorities received information that Spikes, Backdoor Disney, had texted photos of Buzzy's clothes to another Disney employee, and they were looking for a warrant to search his cell phone. So during the interrogation...
He's not a great criminal.
No. So according to him, before the interrogation, Disney raided his home. They were...
Raided his
Yeah. Mickey Mouse raided his home. It was terrible. Come on, fellas! I guess the police. And they were looking for the animatronic, and they were showing him pictures of the Buzzy crime scene. Okay. And saying that someone's got him,
this is
basically.
Wild.
Yeah.
This is like a joke.
This is like, I wouldn't believe this story.
I know. It's like a cheesy movie. You know what I mean?
It's so cinematic.
It's like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, kind of.
Yeah,
you know, like
it's very. And
they take him down to the.
They take him down to the station. They rough him up a little bit.
Showing him pictures of hydraulic fluid all over the floor.
It's like Who Framed Roger Rabbit. You're so right.
Okay, go on.
Okay, so Spikes, and I also should say this is all alleged.
Alleged, okay.
Yeah, well, surely I'm not gonna get sued.
No.
Please.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's when they tell him that they need his phone that the cooperation ends, and um, he ends up getting tackled. And it's on video. It's pretty wild to watch. Uh, um, so that
him getting tackled is on video.
Okay. Well, the entire police interview, because
oh wow, public record.
Yeah, sure. And it was part of the trial. This is the wildest Disney story.
I know, it's fascinating.
It just is.
Okay.
Anyway, that's not what he ends up getting really arrested for, which ends up being the fact that investigators had connected him to Haunted Mansion costumes he had stolen a year prior. And for that
sold,
theft,
right?
Right. He faced burglary, fencing, and grand theft charges.
Okay.
Right. So the court case revealed that he had stolen the stuff and sold it online, receiving over $30,000 from 2 customers. And one of his customers was Robin Lopez, who was a former NBA player. And he didn't know, and he bought over $10,000 in stolen stuff. Yeah, including the clothes from Buzzy.
How do you not know?
He didn't know they were stolen.
Okay.
And he later said the story that he got was that they were
throwing them out,
being sold by being given to him by someone who worked on the attraction, who worked there.
That's true.
So not on that attraction, I don't think.
Okay.
But
yeah, okay. But, I get it.
But yeah, so
at first I was like, I don't think so. I think he knew. But yeah, I get it.
I don't think he knew.
Yeah, I get it.
I really do think, unfortunately, he was innocent.
Was duped.
Yeah, totally just duped from someone selling something online. So he ended up being an ex-Disney employee, and he and his cousin snuck into the backstage area of Magic Kingdom using the utilidors, which is scary and spooky to sneak in using like a fake identification.
Yeah, that's how they got the Haunted Mansion stuff.
That's how they got the Haunted Mansion stuff. So that's what they ended up getting them for. Nothing to do with actual animatronic Buzzy. Well, to this point.
Oh.
So for that, they accepted plea deals and they avoided jail time. They were ordered to pay $25,000 in restitution.
They did get jail time?
No, they avoided jail time. Okay. Community service, restitution.
Got it.
Right. So they got them for the Haunted Mansion stuff, and they had evidence that Backdoor Disney had photos of Buzzy's clothes. So we've got some connections there. But there was, at the time that all of this was happening, I remember some people were still hung up on the fact that Buzzy himself was not in the police report. But then that Disney employee gave his interview or wrote a statement, and it was added to the file, which was public, that said that Disney didn't know where the animatronic was. So Disney has had the police raid this guy's home in suspicion that he might have the animatronic. But they don't end up bringing him in on that charge at all. And so a lot of people think that it has to be Backdoor Disney who has Buzzy because of the fact that he posted the photo of the head.
Right.
But it has come out that that's not actually Buzzy's head. That's a photo of the mold that they used to create Buzzy's head and his face. So he didn't end up tweeting a picture of his head at all. Okay. It was a different prop altogether. So now the question became,
wild.
Was it that Disney had totally botched the move of Buzzy to the archive.
Yeah, right? I mean...
And then the reason that they didn't put out a police report for the missing animatronic itself was because they weren't even sure if they had the animatronic. They didn't want to make a media spectacle of the fact that they had an animatronic go missing. But to what end? To have the police search this guy's house? Hopefully not.
Yeah.
Is it that this guy really did only have Buzzy's clothes, but there are other people who,
I mean, he still committed a bunch of crimes.
Absolutely. But to be honest, I just want to know where the boy
has
gone.
I know.
I just want to know where Buzzy is. So for me,
this seems like the kind of case that's not going to get solved.
Right. So...
And I guess unless he has it.
Unless
somebody tries to sell him.
The most recent addition is the Orange County Police saying, we in fact don't... The animatronic is stolen. They came straight out and said, we consider this animatronic to be stolen, which I think people took to imply that they had searched the archives and have ruled
When
out.
was that?
That was 2019 or 2020, so a couple years ago. And unfortunately, after that, the Theme Park Tribune were the ones who would do these repeated requests for information on the case, like a public access information request about these all the time. And their most recent update from the police was that they consider the case to be currently inactive.
Okay.
Which means, unless there's any more information, that they don't know where Buzzy is. And they've given up looking for him.
Wild. Cold case.
Cold case. Buzzy the cold case?
Oh my gosh, it's crazy.
Grand Theft EPCOT is a cold case?
Yeah.
Oh, it breaks your heart.
Yeah.
Anyway, they announced that they were going to update the Wonders of Life Pavilion pre-coronavirus to something called the Play Pavilion. But since coronavirus, it seems like those plans have been indefinitely halted, and there is no further progress on the Wonders of Life Pavilion. And presumably, Cranium Command is still sitting back there, rotting, sans one Buzzy.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah. Gosh.
It's really sad. This story has it all.
Yeah, it does. It does. It did feel like we were doing a true crime podcast for this one episode.
This is the
very fun, very fascinating.
I can't believe it just happened.
Yeah.
So recently.
Yeah.
This happened. Someone said that they were close to the situation and that Buzzy was safe in the archives.
Oh my god.
And immediately the police were like,
we want to talk to you.
We don't consider that to be accurate
credible
information, and we currently still believe the animatronic is stolen. Just to further twist the knife.
God.
Yeah. So I hope that Buzzy shows up one day.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody bought him on eBay. And maybe...
I think we would have found a transaction, right?
I think, though, maybe the clothes were the bait.
Is there a...
The clothes were
black market eBay?
No, but, that's basically what this is on eBay. It's just, a black market of stolen Disney stuff.
Wow.
But that's basically... I think that's what the clothes were. Putting the clothes on there... So then you could be like,
message
by
somebody.
The way,
yeah,
I've got the thing if you want it. And, I think that might be a thing, you know what I mean? And if that's honestly what I believe happened, is that this was such an open secret that you could just wander in here.
Yeah.
That somebody with
somebody prearranged to buy it from him.
Yes, yeah, maybe.
Like if they bought something else Disney from him, and then they contacted him and was like, Here's my number. Call me. I want you to get this for me.
I would just think it must be so easy to be someone with connections at Disney in a building that is so easily accessible to the public.
Yeah.
If you just pay one of these vendors right, if you just pay one of these cast members right to look the other way or whatever, I feel like that's how a criminal might think of that situation. And I just don't feel like it's that far-fetched to think that under the cloak of night...
Can you imagine being willing to go to jail for this?
No. Not even for a second.
Oh my god.
This is the most wacky heist. This is like a commercial cartoon or something.
Yeah.
It's like, doesn't even feel real.
Yeah.
But it is.
Wild. Well, that was fascinating. I'm really glad you picked that. I wouldn't have ever
Thanks for bearing with me. I know it was a lot of information. It's such, like, the amount of information on the internet about this, the amount of, like, video you can watch of just people walking back there.
Somebody getting tackled.
I feel like I've seen everything. I've seen it all.
Yeah.
They're making a documentary about this.
No way. Of course
they are. So we'll be first.
Does anybody think this is all fake?
A part of me really started to wonder when I was researching it. After I had seen, like, video of the guy, I was like, I'm just starting to think this is like a YouTube bit or something. But it's not.
I don't know who would profit from this, but it's just
a guerrilla
crazy.
Filmmaker with a vision.
Oh, I guess whoever's making the documentary.
Oh yeah. I guess us, if you guys you guys buy a t-shirt after this too. Just kidding.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's it for this week. If you want wanted poster buzzy t-shirts, go to the Neverland Navigation Etsy shop.
Yep.
Or, Christmas shirts or
EPCOT. anything you want.
Wonders of Life is my favorite rotting building.
Yeah.
I'll think that every time I look at that building for the rest of my life. If you'd like to see us on Instagram or TikTok, you can visit us there at Neverland Navco.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. I don't know what to say.
If you want to see our smiling faces for the video version of the podcast, if you're not there already, we're on the YouTube. Not the YouTube. Like I'm 100 years old. We're on YouTube at Neverland Navigation Co.
And if you're listening to us, then if you could pretty please leave us a review, that helps us out a lot.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
We'd love to.
This was a super fun one.
Yeah.
You did great.
Thanks. You did great with Spaceship Earth.
But you did true crime.
A double header at EPCOT. Yeah, I wonder if we'll ever do true crime on here ever again.
I'm going to be searching the internet for Disney's true crime stories so we can,
Disney heist. Well, until our next heist, we'll see you on our next adventure. Goodbye.
Bye.